Okay, welcome to our joint press conference with the Gary Police Department. I'd like to welcome everybody. This will be our final press conference regarding the initiative between the Indiana State Police and the Gary Police Department and the City of Gary. So without further ado, I'll introduce Superintendent Doug Carter. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm preaching to the choir when I talk about traffic on I-65. I'm sorry for the delay. I appreciate everybody being here today. And as I reflected on this experience over the course of the last 15 or 16 months now, I'm a little bit somber about our presence today. It's been an absolute pleasure for me in a nearly 40-year career to be able to be a part of something like this that we've never been able to do before, have never done before, and very likely one of the few state police agencies in the country that have engaged with the local community like this. I have great respect for this city, and I have even greater respect for its people. And I hope that over the course of this period of time that we've been able to accomplish some good and have maybe left it a little bit better than we found it. That was certainly the goal. I would argue that there's nobody that understands the City of Gary Police Department better than Jerry Williams, who has been your chief for the last many months and took a voluntary leave of absence from an incredible career with the state police to be able to do that, to make his city maybe a little bit better. I'll suggest that there's two things police officers don't like, and that's changing the way things are. And it was important for us to come in very objectively, very early on, and not only engage the community, which is so very important, but also to take a really objective view of everything Gary PD. And we did that. We did that. And I'm very proud of the work product. I'm very proud of the outcome. I'm proud of the city council members that challenged it, that challenged the changes in ordinance that we had proposed and that we had suggested. I encouraged the debate. It was respectful debate. And at the end of the day, without a structure within the PD will fail. Without a structure within the city will fail. And I believe that the public safety perspective and the public safety piece of this puzzle is absolutely paramount to its success. Sergeant Fifield talked about this being the last press conference, and as of today, it likely is. But frankly, I hope we have more. I hope that as we step away and we've solidified the relationships with the leadership here in the city, with the community members, and certainly with the police department, that we can continue this lateral and equal communication. Because while we're going away, we're not going to be gone. And there'll be an opportunity for the leadership within the Gary PD to continue to lean on the ISP, and we'll offer and continue to do all we can. I committed to you early on that that's what we would do, and I promise you that's what we'll do. We must maintain stability, though. We must maintain stability within the PD. Doesn't mean everybody's going to agree. But what it does mean is that we're working towards something greater and bigger than ourselves, and that happens to be you, the citizens of the city of Gary and the leadership within the city of Gary. So I'm looking forward to the next steps. And we've had direct contact with Senator Melton, who is the mayor-elect, and certainly with Mayor Prince, who thought about this notion very early on to talk about a complete review of the Gary PD, and I'm looking forward to those continued partnerships. I think you would be pretty darn proud of Mayor Prince and of Senator Melton in regards to the discussion points about transition. It cannot be about the who. It must be about the what. It must be about the what. If you identify the what, the who comes. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what this might lead to in the future. Very personally, to the members of the Gary Police Department, you have no idea what you've taught me. You have absolutely no idea what you've taught me. And again, I'm the luckiest guy on the planet Earth to be able to represent our police profession the way that I get to today. But as I've watched this happen over time, and as I've had an opportunity to interact with you, my sincere thank you. I hope you know we did this with a very much an altruistic mindset of trying to make you better. And I think I really do believe that we've accomplished that. The city of Gary deserves better. And I remember talking to Mayor Prince about that very early on, and that will come. That will come with the perception of feeling safe and secure. And I'm not very pleased with the way things are in our world today. I think we're out of balance in so many different ways. But what I don't care about is the color of skin. And you've allowed me to get out of my comfort zone, and I'm very grateful, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget those many opportunities that we've had. And frankly, you've welcomed me, and great memories. To Bernie Carter, gosh darn, Bernie's been a part of this since long before the beginning. That means he's been around a long time. But it's just been a pleasure and to work with Bernie and Tim and Barb and all the people associated with the Lake County Prosecutor's Office. And I'll just say this in closing: if we continue to do what we've always done, we're headed to a really, really, really dangerous place. And I feel like I preach to the choir, but I say the same thing in the city of Indianapolis every single day. Every single day. The perspective of how we feel is how we feel. And it can have such an imbalancing effect on the way in which we live our lives. I ask the local media all the time down there, why don't you have a rolling scroll of every single young black man that's killed in this city every stinking day? Because it's not okay. I want to know that name, and I get those names every single month from a deputy chief within the IMPD. I want to know them. I want to know who they are. Because when you see their moms and dads and their family members and their friends and their siblings, dang it, it was a human life. We cannot accept that to be the norm. We cannot accept it to be the norm. Only reason I say this to this group is to encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. Believe me, I'm out of mine. Get out of your comfort zone and do what's best for this community, not for yourself. Jerry Williams has been able to build something from the bottom up, and he has created a foundation for all of you to be successful. He loves this city. He was born and raised here. And he has tremendous desire for it to succeed. Understand that the process is not going to be perfect. But is it selfish or unselfish? If it's unselfish, you've succeeded in ways that most people thought you never could. If it's selfish, you'll fail. And it really is just that simple. We're here for you. We're here for the city, to all the members of Gary PD, the outside agencies. We'll continue to support you the very, very best that we can. And again, this is going to be one of those moments in my career that I will forever treasure as some of the most important things that we have ever done before. And I appreciate the willingness to be able to do that. I'm not going to lie, I'm glad to have Jerry Williams back. For a while there, I thought, I'm not sure that was going to happen. But, sorry, Mayor. But I think what Jerry's been able to do is very objectively prepare the next step. And as I look around the room with Terrence and Al Williamson and Ron, and that list goes on and on and on. Terry Gose, of course, they're still going to be here. We're not going away. We're just going to be going for a while. So again, thank you for the opportunity to be able to do this, and I'll look forward to looking back on this period of time. And I believe that it will be incredibly worthwhile. I wish all of you the very, very best. And again, thank you for welcoming us the way that you have.
I'll introduce Chief Jerry Williams. Chief.
I'm trying to cheat up here, y'all, with some notes here. First and foremost, I know the superintendent just said he was the luckiest man on this earth. I'd reckon that we'd be running across that finish line together, because I am truly humbled and grateful for this opportunity. You know, we often talked throughout all of our staff discussions about doing something bigger than ourselves, being willing to get outside of our own comfort zones and take personalities and those types of things out of the equation and make sure we're doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons, even when people don't understand or not even looking at us. The only thing I'm going to try and do here real quickly is that this was a collaboration from so many people that I'd be remiss not to at least try and cover a few of those folks. Let it not be lost on us here, guys, that Governor Holcomb, without hesitation, when the superintendent and myself approached him on this concept, without hesitation gave his unwavering support to this mission. And it wasn't just the state police. It was whatever resources that could be brought to the city of Gary and to my community here that I still call home today. That was what was brought to the table. We had partners from all across the state that participated over the last 18 months of this process, because this spanned back quite a bit of time here, ladies and gentlemen. And whether it was Department of Highway to come in and start looking at state-owned roads and accesses, the Department of Correction, et cetera, et cetera. What I want you to understand is that this was a holistic approach to this process. We know public safety was one of our priorities here, but we knew that there was other ways that we could leverage other state resources that we felt could be important to this process. So please let that not be lost on us, that he, along with the superintendent, embarked on a process here in my 30-plus years had never been done before. We'd been here several times, right? But never to this extent, and never were we immersed ourselves within another municipality like we've done here now. The best thing I can tell you along with that process is Mayor Prince. When I think about Mayor Prince, I think about Superintendent Carter, and then I'd be remiss not to include Prosecutor Carter in that. The word that comes to mind, a singular word, is bold, because what they did here was, first off, it's never been done in our history, but again, for a mayor to expose himself and put everything out there to say, hey, what can I do to make my community better? What can I do to make my city better? From a public safety platform speaks volume in that respect. And I'll be forever grateful to his leadership for that reason. The superintendent, who could have easily said no to this process, but yet he's not only my boss, guys, but he is a true friend to me. You know, he is that brother from another mother concept that we often use lightly in that respect. Prosecutor Carter. My God, we could talk about this gentleman for the rest of the day. His level of commitment, his dedication to this process, his mission to the community and to Lake County, I would put up against any other prosecutor in the state of Indiana. Understand that this was a partnership and a collaboration where the prosecutor and the superintendent sat down at a table and says that if you're in, I'm in. And they put both feet in the water, and they never stopped paddling that boat at that point. He invested several of his key and very senior members of his staff to this process, full-time litigators that he redirected to help out any way they could throughout this process. Tim Brown was one of those individuals that sat on his staff as one of his staff attorneys, who has been with me for probably about 15 months of that 18-month process. His insight was invaluable in this process. The numerous other folks that we have around this table, it is mind-boggling that you as a community should be proud of the fact that you had so many partners in this process. It wasn't us alone. Congressman Mervan and his willingness to go out there and help get monies for technology. This police department right now is facing $1.5 million in technology opportunities improvement that are already underway. Again, to have those type of relationships and collaboration stands by themselves. Senator Pohl, who wears a couple of hats, but of course one of those is one of the city attorneys here. Again, just one of those individuals that was steadfast in his relationship through these processes. U.S. Attorney Clifford Johnson, Lake County Sheriff Oscar Martinez, who I can tell you on one night back in January, we had a night, Saturday night, where I had 3 major scenes going on in this city. And if it was not for his officers stepping up with his direction and offering up assistance throughout the city of Gary, I don't know if we could have got through that night. The Gary City Council, I know I got several of you members in here today. You guys challenged us, you questioned us, and you made us get better throughout this process. And yet you showed yourself to be a steadfast, committed individual in your elected positions to public safety. And again, this community should be grateful for that. We have several other partners here, and I'm going to try and lessen this list here. But let me talk about a little bit about the men and women of the Gary Police Department. When I tell you guys that I gained and learned as much from you as hopefully you might have taken away from anything that we did here, you are some of the best in Indiana as far as I'm concerned in law enforcement. To the staff, now Chief Titus, Commander Bond sitting there, Commander Gonzalez, Commander Abeg, Captain Roberts, and I won't leave out the Deputy Mayor as he sit there because he's been with me for day one in this whole 18-month process. When I tell you guys that you have a committed group here, I can't emphasize that enough. We probably got about 4 months into this, 6 months until somebody finally told me, it says, "Hey, sir, you realize we have not taken a lunch break." That's the level of commitment from this group here. They average, because I checked the numbers, without overtime, they averaged about a 17.5-hour day with their heads down trying to do something bigger than themselves. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, you got some of the best and the brightest within this community to lead this police department forward. My hat goes off to them because these folks here this is what you look for in this relationship here. I'll close with this statement here. As the superintendent has already alluded to, we know we're not gone here for long. This is family to us. This is bittersweet, as I've heard it already said, and I'll use a statement that the Chief Titus made. He says the state police was the best thing that happened to the Gary Police Department and the worst thing that happened to the Gary Police Department, right? And all along, I'll tell you, our goal wasn't to turn the Gary Police Department into the state police, but find ways to improve wherever we could. And the laundry list of different processes and applications and best practices that are underway right now as a result of these members of this command staff is mind-blowing, and I think anybody should be and will be very proud of them in that respect. So with that, I'll close, and I'll hand this off to Mayor Prince, who, again, we have a reason to be proud of.
Good afternoon, everybody. Like the chief, I have a prepared statement, but first I want to go off cuff a little bit and just share some personal sentiments about this experience over the last, seems like almost 2 years. It's been largely explained by the superintendent and somewhat by the chief how we got here, but I just want to take you back a little bit. It started with the acknowledgement that we needed some assistance here, right? And so from that, everyone has a perspective of what's needed. And, most, if you ask, would suggest that it's just about a chief. And certainly while that's important, as exemplified or demonstrated by Chief Williams, it's important, as the superintendent mentioned, to have that structure. So a couple of years ago, Deputy Mayor and I started this conversation about things that we could do to add value to not only the city, but the Gary Police Department. And through that conversation, it didn't take very long to know that the best route for the assistance and the type of assistance and the level of assistance we needed would come from outside sources. And from there, I asked Deputy Mayor to call the Superintendent of Police. But let me back up a little bit. Jerry Williams, your reputation precedes you. We have a mutual person in common. She's actually a family member of yours who, before I even took office, actually tried to get me to get you, but she told me that you were comfortable and safe and you were committed to your job at the state police. And that hasn't changed, but she also mentioned that she had a deep commitment and love for this city. And I've certainly witnessed that firsthand, and I thank you for everything that you've done. But to go back to the process, and so once we had the conversation with the superintendent, Doug Carter, it was evident that there was a desire to help, but I guess the litmus test for the city, and certainly for me, was going to be if we receive this type of assistance, would we follow through? Would we execute? And to that point, I thank you both for believing in me. I thank you for making the plea to the governor's office to offer all the resources and assistance necessary in order to actually make this come to fruition. And so today, here we are. Chief Titus hasn't been officially sworn in, but I'm going to give him that title during this speech because all through the process, he certainly has exhibited professionalism, leadership, and it's my opinion and certainly the recommendation of Major Williams that he is ready to lead this department. So once again, I want to thank Governor Holcomb, ISP, Superintendent Doug Carter, and all of your teams and members for their support and engaging the city of Gary and the Gary Police Department in this historic relationship that lasted, as I said earlier, over 15 months. I think it's important, Superintendent, you lost a member of your team, and certainly on behalf of the city of Gary, my family, and everyone here, we offer our condolences for the troop who passed, Aaron Smith. I believe it was a couple of days ago. Superintendent, our condolences. I think Aaron Smith, and one of the reasons I mentioned him certainly is to offer our condolences, but that to me is the epitome or the example of the commitment that men and women across the state and across the country engage in when they go out to do their jobs and protect their communities. And Aaron Smith certainly was an example of that and certainly would be appreciated by all of us. To put on a uniform every day and go up and down the highways takes incredible courage, and it certainly takes commitment to a common goal. And that goal, as it is here in the city of Gary, is to keep our community safe, to make our community not only be safe, but to make it open and accessible to others who want to enjoy the amenities or at the very minimum explore whatever this city has to offer, whether it's a business or become a resident of the city. But likewise, it takes committed men and women such as those on the Gary Police Department. I want to thank Major Williams once again for your commitment through this process, and it's certainly been a pleasure, Major. I get the sense that, as you mentioned about the superintendent, that because of the friendship we've been able to develop, that you will continue to be around, and it's certainly my hope that you do. We definitely want to thank all of the other members, certainly the members of the Common Council that are here, everyone from the Lake County Prosecutor's Office, certainly including Prosecutor Carter, and all of those folks who have been engaged in this process. Couldn't have been done without you. Again, it starts with an idea and a plan, but there's an adage that says you plan long and you execute fast. And today, that's what we're preparing to do by naming Chief Anthony Titus as the new chief of the Gary Police Department. Since joining the force in 1992, Chief Titus has held several positions throughout the department, and he's represented GPD in a number of initiatives locally and nationally. He's a certified procedural justice instructor through the National Network of Safe Communities, state certified instructor in several areas, and he's represented Gary on a number of federal task forces. He's Also attended the prestigious FBI Academy. And from what I've gotten to know about him over the last 24 years of service in this community, there's a whole list of things that he's done through this community that you aren't aware of and that I'm certain he will bring to the job of chief. He also holds a bachelor's degree in public safety management and a master's of science in public administration. Chief Titus, I want to thank you for what you've done so far, and I certainly look forward to the work that you're going to do in the future. Superintendent Carter mentioned something that's very, very important, and in closing, I'll mention it as well. Recently, I had one of many conversations with Senator Melton, the incoming mayor, and what's extremely important is that, as we all know, we establish some continuity, and it's my opinion, and certainly he has shared with me that he embraces this process, and it's my desire, and certainly I hope it's that of all of you, that the progress and the work that has taken place over the last 18 months continues, and that this city and this police department continues to move forward. Without further delay, I'd like to welcome our new police chief, Chief Titus, and shortly thereafter, after this process or this part of the program, we'll do a official swearing in. Chief Titus.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We have heard from very distinguished men. Prosecutor Carter, we haven't heard from you, but I'm sure we will. Mayor Prince, Major Williams. For 31 years, I've worn the same patch every single day. I am a product of the city of Gary. Some in the room may get offended, but I'm a graduate of the best high school, Roosevelt High School. Roosevelt High School, yes. So you already knew that part, right? What we have seen and heard about today is what collaboration looks like, what the process of, as Chief Williams has said, doing something bigger than yourself looks like. For us to get the governor's office, the Lake County Prosecutor's Office, the Indiana State Police, and we haven't mentioned Excise Police, ATF, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals Service, to all say, yeah, we've already been doing things for the city of Gary, but let's see if we can do something bigger. The chief talks about 17-hour days. Well, he shorted himself because we don't believe the chief sleeps. He emails us at 2 and 3 in the morning. He texts us at 5 in the morning. But what we gained out of that was that if he can do it, we can certainly do it also. Because as members of the Gary Police Department and members of this community, we have a far more vested interest. So I thank you all. I thank the governor's office. You know, Mayor Prince and his deputy mayor, Trent McCain, for these gentlemen to reach out and say, hey, we owe it to the citizens to make sure they have the best police department possible to serve them. That speaks volumes as to who you are as men and servants of this community. And for that, we certainly thank you and applaud you. You didn't have to do that. We could have stayed with the status quo. We could have said, well, enough is enough. We're doing what we can. But that was not the case. So we appreciate that. I appreciate it as a son of Gary. I appreciate it as a Gary police officer. The chief said it right. I was asked a couple of days ago about what did I think about this process. We have ISP coming in. We have all these new faces in our building. What do you think about it? I said, well, it was a roller coaster for me. I'll be honest with you. I loved it. Then I hated it. Then I loved it. Then I hated it. Eventually, I loved it. I saw that there was value in the work that was being done. I told, and I'll refer to him, I told Major Williams, as police officers, as those who raised our right hands to serve and protect, as the only members of a community that actually takes an oath as to how we would treat our fellow man, we felt we had this thing pretty well put together. We knew how to be the police. But I ended up expressing to Chief Williams or Major Williams that I did not know what I did not know. Over the last 15 months or so, and certainly the 6 months serving on Major Williams' staff, I have grown as an individual, and I believe as a police officer. To the men and women of the Gary Police Department, again, 31 years I've worn the exact same patch you wear. If there was blood to be spilled, we spilled it together. If there was tears to be cried, we cried it together. And I'm saying that to say whatever your struggle was intimately intermingled with mine. Although there may be things that would seek to divide us, today is not that day. It is our chance to stand as those who swore to serve and protect and show the community the type of servants and leaders that we can be. This is absolutely a new day for us. Looking back in January when First Sergeant Weems and then Chief Williams put together all of these work groups along with the excellent men and women of the Indiana State Police that came up to assist. They were very intentional with who they set on these work groups. We had something like 12 work groups that covered every single part of law enforcement in the city of Gary. But what was important was there were men and women from the Gary Police Department that were on those work groups. What does that say? We were intimate in the reshaping and the restructuring of our police department. Now, there may be those who would say, oh, they did A, B, C, and D, but the truth is we sat in those rooms and we developed how to go forward. So men and women, I thank you for that. I thank you for that time. I thank you for your knowledge. We are law enforcement professionals, and we will continue to move in a professional manner. But our footing today is so much surer than I believe it has been in a number of years. And that's not as a slight to any administration or any former officer here. That's saying we have learned things that should help us grow by leaps and bounds. To my staff, Commander Bond, Commander Gonzalez, Commander Abed, Captain Roberts, I challenge you, do not become complacent. Continue to investigate the good and the bad of your divisions. If you find a deficiency, create a solution. There will be no status quo. We will continue to go forward. To the men and women of the city of Gary, listen, I know this isn't something that's said often, but we absolutely love you, right? We absolutely love you. So Robert Peel, who we would say is the father of modern policing, even though he made this statement back in the 1800s, he said, police have to serve in a manner that shows that the police is the public and the public is the police. What does that mean? There's no us, there's no they. There's no us against them, there's only us. And so the challenge to the men and women of the police department is that we move in that manner, that we are a part of the public. So with that, I will close with, I thank you, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you. Mr. Carter, thank you for what you've done for our department. Superintendent Carter, thank you. Thank you very much. Something you said a long time ago when you first came, he has the luxury of sometimes traveling by helicopter. 99% of us in this room don't. So, but he said when he flew into the city of Gary, he saw how beautiful it was from an elevated view. Major Williams often said in staff meetings, we're going to look at this from a 30,000-foot view. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a staff that has looked at the city of Gary from an elevated view, and I tell you what we see is beautiful. And we will move in that manner to continue to protect the beauty of our city. Thank you very much.
I'd like to introduce our final speaker, Prosecutor Bernie Carter.
Thank you. You know, there's a reason why I'm the final speaker, because I'm going to be short. I was thinking 2 minutes, and then I started thinking maybe 4 minutes, so I'm going to do it like 3 minutes, hopefully. You know, first of all, I want to thank my staff, Bart McConnell, the Chief Deputy, Tim Brown, who've actively been working, as Major Williams have said, and Bernie Johnson is here representing our office. We put a lot of effort into it because we believe in what it's done. Also, Greg Mance is here. He's the chief of Griffith, which is a border city of Gary, and we certainly appreciate your support of this operation as well as what you do for the city of Gary as well as Lake County. You're certainly a leader, and I appreciate you being here. You know, initially, I want to say, and it's already been said, I'll do it very quickly, the governor's been fantastic. He's been fantastic with the cooperation and the manpower. We're talking about millions of dollars have been spent in work-related hours and the manpower for this initiative, millions of dollars. And no one has mentioned, and I will mention, that the state police may be leaving to some capacity, but with the governor and Superintendent Carter, they have allowed us to have 2 state troopers on our homicide task force that works with the Gary Police directly and works with our office directly, as well as an officer with the excise police that was kind of channeled to us by the governor through the superintendent. You know, words cannot be said about the superintendent. I certainly appreciate you, sir. And I work with him throughout the state with other prosecutors and with the Indiana Prosecuting Attorneys Association. You're such an active participant in getting things done in the state of Indiana, and you certainly brought that here to our county. So I want to thank you very much for what you've done. Williams, I'm going to say Chief Williams now, but it's Major Williams. Go back to Major Williams' title. You've been so great to this city. I think you've done everything that the mayor asked you to do and more. And I have so much confidence in hearing Chief Titus speak. I have so much confidence in the Gary Police Department. You have great men and women, and certainly you have a fantastic staff, command staff. And certainly nobody can find fault in it if they know anything about law enforcement. If they know anything about law enforcement, we have a top team for the city of Gary. One of the finest, I would say, and Greg Mance is here, but one of the finest departments, and will be one of the finest departments in Lake County. I can say that very well. You know, it took a lot for Mayor Prince to do this initiative during election year, because it was very controversial, and I know it was. And he was told that it was. But he gave us the latitude to do the right thing, and that's what we did. So, Mayor Prince, I'd like to thank you very much for what you've done. We wouldn't be here today, and the city of Gary would not be, and the police department would not be in the position they are today had it not been for you, Mayor. And that will travel years and years in the future, because there's a footprint that has been laid that I think every officer with the city of Gary, whether you're a patrolman or whether you're in rank, can follow and make the city a better place. Because I do believe our police department represents the citizens, as the chief said. And I certainly believe that you have to believe in your police. With the loss of the state trooper, and you know, that's interesting because the superintendent was 10 minutes late this morning for the press conference, but he was coming from the home of the trooper who we lost and speaking with the wife. And then he had to manage the traffic. And then I found out he made two stops to assist motorists who cars had stopped on him, or one of them had a flat tire, I believe, and helped change the tire, and he's on his way here. So we appreciate you for the service that you do to this state. We will continue as our office to work diligently with the Gary Police Department, and anything that we can do, I can do, we certainly will do that. Thank you.
I'll wrap this up very, very quickly. I took a couple notes on my hand. Stability is important. I think everybody would agree in your personal life, in your work life, whatever that might be, stability is very, very important. And one of the things that I really struggle with several thousand, well, at least a couple thousand employees is trying to be everywhere and do all the things that I can possibly do for them because of what it is they do. I believe in them, even when they don't agree with me. And I don't agree with them, and we fuss and we fight with each other sometimes. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to challenge the Gary police officers that are in the room and the citizens of Gary to please, please, please take down your rearview mirror. Please take down your rearview mirror. I learned a long time ago if I put everyone where everybody wants them to be, nobody'd be anywhere. And it's really, really important that we breathe new life into the city. And I really hope that you'll partner with the Gary PD, find people, and help them do that. Finally, everybody hates rules except kids and adults. But we damn sure don't like rules if they affect us. keep in mind that process and rules and structure equal accountability, and that's what you should expect. To the officers in the room, you should expect accountability. If you do something wrong, acknowledge it. If you commit a crime, leave. If you didn't, then let the process work. Then let the process work. Without that accountability, there will never be a feeling of safety and security in any community, not just in the city of Gary, in any community. So the ISP is chock full of policies. We have a lot of rules about how we dress and the things that we're able to do and where things go where and all of those things. But we give the law enforcement officer the ability to drive a very fast vehicle and carry a weapon and even sometimes take a human life. To the citizens, hold us accountable to those standards. Hold us accountable to those standards. So I hope the officers within the PD and the community looks at this as a new day. Chief, that was awesome. I'm so proud of you. It's a new day. It's a new day. Please take advantage of it. The way things aren't okay. But man, imagine what can come. I want all of you to see what I saw from the helicopter looking south and east from City Hall. The green space. It's beautiful. The rest of the city can be the exact same. Thank you for welcoming us.
That will conclude our press conference today. Everybody that is up here in front will be available for questions one-on-one afterwards. We're not going to take any right now. Also, there will be a pinning ceremony at the conclusion of this press conference by the mayor and Chief Titus. They're swearing in ceremony, so you guys are welcome to attend. Thank you.